All right, so today we are going to be going through box and whisker plots, and I tried to draw cute little cat whiskers here to make this a little less daunting. I'm going to show you what one looks like. We're going to make these little graphs that look like this. I'm going to walk you through how. You'll need to keep these steps handy, and you may use them on both your quiz and your test, okay? So a box and whisker plot, what is the purpose of it? Well, it divides data into four distinct parts. So what we do is we find the median of the data, which you all know how to do with your eyes shut almost. The median, and it divides it into two parts below the median and two parts above it. Now, some of the words sound really complicated, but listen to what they are. The lower quartile means the lower quarter of your data. The lower 25%, in other words, quarters are 25. So it is the median of the lower half of the data. So what you do is you divide, where's my hand? You divide the data, and then you take the chunk that's in the low half, and you find the median of that. Okay, so in the upper quartile, okay, again, you have your real median, and then you take the upper data and you find the median of the upper half. So basically what you're doing is you're halving the halves. So then the lower extreme and upper extreme, kids seem to understand that is the absolute lowest and the absolute highest. So if you're taking a test and somebody scores a perfect score and no everybody else is not even close, your upper extreme is the highest. If you had somebody just come into the room, never study, never heard any of the lessons, and they scored like a 1, that would be a lower extreme example, but everybody else is going to fall somewhere in that middle part. So we are going to look at, let's pretend these are what we've paid for our last 11 tickets to different places. These are the prices we paid, $14, $36, $9, $12. So how we do this is we put the numbers in order, which is as we do with data. It's nice to put them in order. So I put them in order, and follow me here. It goes 9, 12, 14, 18, 19, 22, 24, 25, 27, 36, 42. Okay, don't do any circling yet because I want to show you what I did to find the median. I went boom, 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 boom. Oh, there's my middle number. There's my happy little median right there. I'm going to draw whiskers on it because I can. All right, so there's my median. And then below the median, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 numbers. So the middle number of the lowest 5 numbers, this is the lowest half, and notice I put this is my lower half right there. So I'm looking at that set of data. This is the lower quartile right here. Okay? Right up here, I took that upper half, and I found that middle number, which is 27. That's the middle of the upper half, is a 27. That's my upper quartile, okay? And then my low extreme, the cheapest ticket was 9, and my most expensive splurge ticket was $42, okay? Must have gone to the Orpheum or someplace fancy for that one. So now what we're going to do is we're going to plot the values below, not on top of, below a number line. So I chose to do in increments of 5s because I have to go from 9 to 42. So I tried to make them as equal distant apart as I could so you can see for Mrs. McKinley drawing it's pretty good. So I went 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And now what you have to do, again, I found all of the points I need up here. I put a dot where my lower extreme should be, so you can kind of see my dot right there. And then my lower quartile, I put another dot at about 14, so it's not an exact science when I'm doing it on notebook paper, but you can see it's slightly below the 15. And my upper quartile, 22, so I put my dot right here. I think that's a pretty good guess for the 22. And then I put my upper quartile right here for the 27. So notice I have 1, 2, 3, 4 dots so far. And then my upper extreme is 42. There's my dot. So the reason they call it a box and whisker is I drew a straight line through these 3 points in the middle. This is where my box is going to be. This is where the bulk of the data falls, between the lower quartile and the upper quartile, how the data spreads out. And notice the cat nose, this is the middle, is kind of off to the side here. It's not exactly in the middle. And these right here, we draw just a straight line to. Those are the whiskers. So it goes out to the extreme highs and lows. But this is where the bulk of the class or bulk of the ticket prices lie, between $14 and $27. And then the outliers are out here. The reason that we use this is because it shows how the data distributes. It shows the difference between the extremes and where the data falls, where the upper quarter falls and the lower quarter falls. So let's make a box and whisker plot. Why don't you go through the steps, and here are the numbers, okay? And if you need any help at all, I put them in order right here, and you can pause me if you want to try it. Otherwise, I'm going to walk you through it, okay? So if you've unpaused me, what I did was put it in order, and when I went to find the median, I noticed that it was between 9 and 12. So when you add that up, you're at a 21, and you have to divide it by 2. Remember, whenever there's an even number, you have to find the mean of the two numbers that make up the median. So your median is 10.5, and then you do count the 9 and the 12, and so my lower quartile is right here. I did LQ. My upper quartile, again, I'm looking at these numbers, and so that number 15 makes up my upper quartile. And then my extremes are really easy to find. I do prefer to use the UE, LQ, UQ for my abbreviations. What I chose to do on my number line is go up by 2s. Okay, so what I did was I put dots again. My lower extreme is here. My lower quartile is here. My median says it's 10.5, which I just put a dot right here. My upper extreme is here, or my upper quartile is here, and my extreme is here. So notice here we've got a wide cat face with just little whiskers on the side. But this shows that really all the data falls in kind of a nice pattern here. So we're going to look at page 715, and we're going to look at examples 2 and 3, and we're going to draw conclusions from the data. And this is something that's important when we are taking some of our standardized tests. They ask you to interpret or data analysis. So this is the box and whisker plot below. Okay, so what you might need to do is simply look at this and be able to say, okay, what is the median of all of this data that you see right here? When you see this box and whisker plot, you should know that the middle of these lines is going to be your median of the data. There's your lower quartile, upper quartile, and then your extremes. So just by looking at one, you're going to need to be able to identify what points they are. If you need to label these LQ, UQ, and M, the big giant M right there, that's totally cool. So now we have a jellyfish example. You can understand why I didn't want to try to draw this, because the picture is way cooler. The box and whisker plots down here represent the body widths in inches of sample jellyfish from 2 different species of jellyfish. And this is why this can be a really cool thing to look at. So if we look at the comb jellyfish, look at how all the data is all nice and tidy in this little tiny box and whisker plot. So we've got a median of 2, upper quartile of 3.5, lower quartile of 1, and then we've got a 0.5 and a 4. So it all is neat and tidy right here. This moon jellyfish, look at the lower extreme and the upper extreme are huge, and that we have a long whisker off to the right here. Most of the things are going to fall between 7 and 11. It does go down to 6, but we have a ginormous sample over here, the moon jellyfish right over there. So to find the range between these two, you're going to have to subtract, and you can make all kinds of just analysis based on these two things. The comb jellyfish, it looks like fall more into a pattern, but you can have a wide range in the moon jellyfish. So you can compare how the data falls in these two sample sets just by looking at their box and whisker plots. Okay, remember the nose of the nose of the cat here is always the median. Okay, and then the sides of the face are the lower and upper quartiles, and the whiskers make up the extremes. It's bringing me back to our days of Dewey when we read that as a read aloud. So enjoy this lesson. It can be a little bit difficult if you do not go back to the steps here or in your book, and I'm going to point out pages 714 and 715. Really look at what you're doing. You will have to create one of these on your quizzes and tests. You will do just fine as long as you go back to our first example, see where everything is. Do not write on top of a number line. You put draw your cat face below it. And yes, you can draw a nose right there. Okay. Have fun with this one. Ask questions if you need any help at all.